8:40, Alabama head coach Kalen DeBoer. I want to hear from him about why Ty Simpson might be better than Fernando Mendoza, because Dan Orlovsky was put on the spot to give an argument, and he failed miserably yesterday about that. Holy potato salad. Oh, my God. I felt bad.
It was weird.
I felt bad for him.
Very bizarre. Remember, before Dan Orlovsky...
That's Lima 101, man.
Before Dan had his rise to prominence over at ESPN, and he was trying to get in the media game, he was coming on a ton on the afternoon show here at the time. And I remember texting Keith, Dan's good. Like, he's going to be doing this at a national level. And he's done a great job, clearly. I don't know where that came from yesterday.
I'm sorry. He's great at breaking down film. Maybe that's the lane he ought to stay in. I don't know, because anytime he says this stuff, it ends up biting him in the ass, and it sounds terrible. I mean, that was embarrassing yesterday.
And then by the end of the day, it seemed like he was just very sad.
Yeah. I mean, well, he posted the kindness to others picture. I'm going, oh, God, somebody needs a hug.
See, that's where you got embraced, Dan. When you go out on one, just take it from someone who knows. When you get everybody really fired up, and then you feel like, man, they're coming at me from every end, you triple down, Dan Orlovsky. You triple down.
Well, it's the John thing. You weren't here, but I go, what did John say a couple weeks ago? And I go, no. Oh, it was the Ty Simpson, that the Browns were going to take Ty Simpson because they're saying nice things to each other. And we had to Trojan horse him because I'm going, buddy, I'm doing it to you. Imagine what that guy's going to do to you, because that's Lima. Like, you got to be ready for anything you say, man. And he said it, and he got called on it, and it did not go over well. I felt bad. Because sometimes in the heat of the battle, I have been pushed to that position with you, and, man, you start to feel that floor give out from underneath you. That feeling sucks. But, man, oh, boy. I want to ask Kalen DeBoer. I bet he has a better answer than what Dan Orlovsky has about Ty Simpson being better than Fernando Mendoza. Maybe he just thinks that Fernando Mendoza is better. We'll find out coming up at 8:40 this morning with Kalen DeBoer, the head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide. I told you. I don't mean to say I told you so, but you know what? I told you so. Albert Breer yesterday on Afternoon Drive. What are the chances that Shedeur starts Week 1?
If we asked you right now, what percentage chance would you give Shedeur to start Week 1 for the Browns? What percentage point are you setting?
30, maybe. Still think Deshaun's going to get a shot. I look at all the money they've sunk into it. There's a reason why Deshaun at one point was the 12th overall pick in the draft. There's a reason why Deshaun was twice the highest paid player in all of football. There is so much demonstrated evidence of Deshaun Watson being a really good NFL quarterback, and we have none on this Shedeur. So does that mean I think it's likely that Deshaun gets back up to the level he was at the end in Houston? No. But, I mean, I think even if he got 80% of the way there, that would be a higher level than a lot of teams perceive the ceiling for Shedeur Sanders. I just look at it and I think to myself, if I've already sunk all that money into Deshaun Watson, I can't get out of that money for this year. He's still relatively young for his position. Don't I owe it to myself to make sure he's not the answer before I let him go off somewhere else next year, especially when I have a new coaching staff that doesn't have the skeletons in the closet with him that Stefanski and then that staff had? Like, it was just what weighed that staff down with him, I think, was the history of going through the trade together and everything else. Like, you have none of that now. There's a chance to kind of get a fresh set of eyes on him. There's a chance to get a fresh perspective on him. There's a chance to let him compete for a job. I've seen Deshaun Watson play at a high level too much to not think that maybe he could get to a middle-of-the-pack quarterback level. And I don't know that we've seen that Shedeur can do that. And I might wind up being totally wrong on that. But I think logically, if I'm the Browns, and this is going to be a transition year anyway, unless Shedeur really shows me a lot more than he showed me last year, I'm probably looking at this like I want to make totally sure that we got it wrong on Deshaun Watson before the contract expires.
So this is what I warned everybody about during the season last year. It's playing out, because I agree with Albert about the 30%.
Wow.
I think that. Let me explain to you why. Well, I don't. I see his point on the 30%. Mark that. I see his point. I don't necessarily agree. Because I don't want it to be true. And I think for a lot of fans, you have to hope, because Nick went on a tangent later on in the show, and I'll play that later on in the show. I don't want to do it now. I'll do it later. Nick went on a tangent, and he was basically, it sounded like he was begging the Browns on the radio to not play Deshaun Watson. And I'll play it for you later on at around 8:20 this morning before Kalen DeBoer joins us at 8:40. Because I agree with Nick. I totally agree with Nick. The reasons that I don't agree with why I think it could be 30% that Shedeur Sanders ends up starting, I disagree with Albert for the money. I don't think the Haslams care about the money. I don't think the Haslams care about, Jimmy called it a mistake twice in public on a microphone for crying out loud. So I don't think they care about the money. I don't think they care about any of the sunk cost, whatever it might be. I just think you got a new head football coach who's 60 years old. This is going to be his one chance to be a head coach in the NFL. I'm not trying to be an ageist, but this guy has been trying to be a head coach in the NFL for the last 20 years. This is his one chance to be it. And if you still had Kevin, hey, this is not an argument to keep Kevin around. What was the end was the end. But if they would have kept it going, Kevin went with the flow. There were a lot of things that I'm sure I know Kevin disagreed with, and he just went with. And I'm telling you, and that's not great leadership in its own right. I'll tell you that. That's not great. That's not what you want as a Browns fan. But if you wanted to make sure we were just going to get through this year and, hey, we're just going to try to make the fans placated as we possibly can, not anger them as much as we can while we get to 2027, Kevin was your guy. Now it's Todd Monken. Todd Monken's got one chance to do this. And if they go out there during OTAs and one guy, the guy who's been 6 years ago, been an MVP level before, been a Pro Bowl, All-Pro level before, been a guy to carry a franchise before, one guy has all that, and that guy shows that against air because you're just in T-shirts and shorts and you're doing that, and he ends up being over it, don't come after the messenger. A new head coach is going to do what he thinks is best for the players on that football team. You hear Todd Monken talk. Everybody loves Todd Monken. Todd Monken don't give a damn what you and I think, what Bob and Parma thinks. He doesn't care. He's going to do what's best for his football team. And if what he thinks is best for his football team is starting Deshaun Watson week 1, while Nick called it a giant slap in the face, Todd Monken doesn't give a damn. I'd use a different word if the mics were off.
Yeah, but what happens if Andrew Berry, throughout the interview process and afterwards, because obviously Deshaun Watson had to come up in those conversations. What if Andrew Berry was basically like, listen, from an organizational standpoint, we are on the last iteration, the last year of Deshaun. So as long as you know that coming in, like he is not somebody that is in our future plans, to put it mildly, to put it most charitably.
Great question.
Then what is your answer if you're Todd Monken, knowing that the organization is tilting the scale here? You have the cheap, young, second-year player, had some flashes, has some skill. Let's see, should have had a higher grade than a fifth-round pick. Okay.
That's the curse of Todd being here.
But the other one is Deshaun Watson.
That's the curse of Todd being here in 2019. Todd has seen the dysfunction flat out. Todd, in his eyes, tried to stop this at one point. And he wasn't listened to. And he watched this thing go right into the ocean and sink. And he's talked about it since. So Todd Monken, who had a job waiting on him with the New York Giants, Todd Monken's made all this money. He was offered a job, or he was going to be offered a job with the New York Giants. Had this not worked out, he could have got desperate and said anything that he thought the Browns wanted to hear. Does Todd Monken sound at all? Did he sound like that in 2019? You and I worked together. You and I were in the building at times, okay? I was in the building a lot more than you. Todd Monken's never been a guy to mince words. Todd Monken, for better for worse, has said what he felt is the truth. So he might have just looked at it. He might have just said, oh, yeah, I'll tell you what you need to hear. I believe zero chance. I believe Todd Monken's going to do what he thinks is best for his football team, and he's going to leave it out there in the field. So Shedeur is doing everything he can. I love that Shedeur is in the building all the time. I love that Shedeur, there is evidence that he is working his ass off. But Deshaun Watson's working his ass off too. And if this comes down to who's going to play better on the football field, boy, I hope it's going to be Shedeur. I really hope it's going to be Shedeur because I don't want to open that can of worms. I don't want Deshaun Watson to start this season for the Cleveland Browns. Let's be on the record and be as clear as possible. I do not want that to happen. But you have people lining up on that radio show yesterday and on this station who are going, yeah, one guy did play at that level. Hey, man, don't come after me. But I told you, everybody hated Kevin Stefanski. Kevin Stefanski did not do a good job this year. This isn't a defense. But had he had stayed and we would have just drifted off again, you know he would have went with the flow. Now you have a guy who has one chance, who's always told the truth, and damn it, he's going to do what's true by his football players. I hope, I pray that Shedeur Sanders plays well enough to take this job in training camp, in OTAs, to get to the number one spot in training camp when they really take off. You know, a way a quarterback competition is really supposed to be done, not whatever that was last year.